Second video for today because it made me think about something on Voxtur. Value of individual businesses and things like that. So in the previous video, I talked about how Voxtur has about 40 million US worth of debt. And I said that, don't you think that, like even if the company went to bankruptcy, like those businesses would sell for more than 40 million. And so the debt holder, the bank, would get the money back, right? What about the equity? Because the difference is the equity. So let's think about this for a second, because you got to put things in perspective. Before Voxtur acquired Blue Water, there was a offer on the table for Blue Water for $150 million. That's not fictitious. There was an offer on the table for $150 million. Now, the world has changed, right? The interest rates went up since then. So you can be like, well, maybe in today's market, nobody would pay $150 million for Blue Water. Okay, well, cut it in half. $75 million. Do you think it's reasonable for somebody that would pay $75 million for Blue Water? With Blue Water is going to do close to $20 million of revenue, 80% gross profit margin next year. You don't think somebody would pay $75 million for the whole thing? I think so. I think easily somebody would pay $75 million for it. So if the debt is about 40, right? Somebody pays $75 million for Blue Water. You wipe out all the debt, and you're left with what, 30 or so million in the bank, and all the other businesses. And then, because if you look at the financials, when I analyzed financials, Blue Water at this point is not a huge contributor yet, based in the financials that I talked about, right? So selling Blue Water would wipe out all the debt, would give them 30 million in the bank, and you would have other businesses that still generate about, $100 million worth of revenue per year. Don't you think that's worth something? Don't you think that's worth more than what the current market cap is? I think so. But let's be even more bearish, because I'm in the mood to be bearish. So somebody offered 150 million for Blue Water. Now the world is so terrible that they could only get 25% of this today. Well, that's 37,500,000. That's almost what the entire debt is worth. So even if you sell Blue Water at a fire sale, you wipe out all the debt, all of it, and you are left with all the other businesses that generate $100 million worth of revenues. Don't you think that's worth something? Don't you think that's worth more than what the current market cap of, 80-something million? I think so. So that's one way of looking at it, right? Another way of looking at it is Blue Water is a core asset. So I doubt Gary would want to get rid of it, all of it, right? So when he talks about that he's in the middle of monetizing a non-core asset, he's looking at another asset to monetize to pay down debt, right? So maybe there's a hint there that something is going to happen, and it's going to wipe out a lot of the debt by selling something else and keeping Blue Water. Or maybe he also said something about JVs, right? Doing a JV with, maybe on IOL, or maybe sell part of a particular business. Like I talked about how, okay, Blue Water can get 75 million in this market, and under a fire sale, about 40 million to wipe out all the debt. But what if Gary's a deal maker? He with his prior company, that he founded, the Altos Group, he made like 30 acquisitions. So he's a deal maker. He can get acquisitions. He can sell stuff. He can sell parts of it. What if somebody, you let somebody in get part ownership in Blue Water or some other business, and then let's say you sell non-core asset, you pay down bunch of the debt, and then you let somebody else get part of Blue Water. They can bring their clientele to it, and then that wipes out all the debt altogether, and you're left with everything else and most of Blue Water. You see where I'm going with this? Like almost anywhere you slice it, the fear of bankruptcy is non-existent, okay? But it's not the fear of bankruptcy, it's the fear of the equity portion getting wiped out. That's what people are worried about. It's almost non-existent because when a company declares bankruptcy, like some of them already did, like for example, what is this vegan thing, or recently the Shift Technologies that Meet Kevin was talking about, Tattooed Chef, right? They all went bankrupt. They had more debt than the assets are worth. More debt. I remember in 2008, 2009, I bought, a gold mining company, like a big one, like the huge one, and then it went up like 10x. But during the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis, people were worried about the debt. But I looked at the assets, and I'm like, well, almost every single one of these assets that they have, which is separate mines, they could be sold like apartment buildings and pay off the debt. You don't wipe out the equity unless whatever you sell the assets for are just the debt, and then there's nothing left for equity, right? That's really the worry. But like anywhere you look at, Voxtur's assets, anywhere you slice it, even if you apply a huge discount to it, there's like zero chance of the equity portion going to zero.